Hey everyone, my name's Heidi, and today I'm going to teach you a little bit about stone lifting. A couple disclaimers, right? I want you to be very careful about lifting. If you want, you should go lighter rather than heavy. It's always better to go safe rather than heavy. You can always go heavy later once you have it down. So please keep that in mind before you start. I've assembled just a couple of rocks here, varying weights, to do 3 different exercises with. I'm not entirely sure about how much each of these weigh. They're just ones I picked up from my garden. And I'm guessing this one's probably, if I had to guess, 120, 130 pounds. This one's probably 50 or 60. And this one's probably around 30, 40. It's hard to tell really without weighing them. But if you have any rocks, they don't have to be as big as these. Just something you can pick up. It doesn't even have to be a rock either. You can use a sandbag, a duffel bag full of clothes, whatever works for you. So I'm going to start a little bit of form. You really don't want to be wearing any kind of tennis shoes when you go heavy. You might get away with it for a lot harder and unsafe. What I'm wearing right now, these are my power lifters. So I do my Olympic lifts and squats in them, and that'll include clean and jerks for any of the strongman implements I usually use. A good alternative if you don't have these. You don't have to have these. The nice part is the heel right here. But if you don't have any of these, a nice flat shoe will help. Something from a barefoot minimalist shoe to Keds or Converse are okay as well. So to start off, one first and work up to the heavier weight. So this one's a good weight for me to go ahead and clean and press. It's a square one, so it's a slightly different form. And you notice I'm not wearing any pants. You might get some bruises if you're not careful. I don't recommend wearing clothes you like. You might get holes or dirt all over them. So wear a pair of clothes that you're okay if they get really dirty with. Alright, so you do this when you're picking up a rock or anything like that. You're gonna put it in between your legs. You don't want any kind of bend in your arms during the lift. You want your arms kind of straight out. So the movement you're gonna do with your arms is gonna be like this. And you kind of have to grip it as necessary. So test your grips as you go. But you want kind of this push in motion. If any of you would do flies at the gym, that's the kind of feel you should be doing. You're pushing in with it. You can have a slightly rounded back. It's like this. It's actually recommended rather than a sort of straight deadlift form. It's not going to be a good lift for that, and it's actually going to make it much harder to lift, give you bad leverages, all those sort of things. So from go down, I'm only going to go as far as I need. I'm not going to squat into it because that's going to ruin my leverage points. So I'm just going to go down until I can get to that. Right? I'm going to pretend this is a heavy weight. Notice the straight arms. Pick it up with your leg. Put it in your lap. Wrap your arms around and clean it. Then you can get your arms underneath and you can strict press or push press. So strict press, you're just going like this, right? And push press, you gotta do a slight dip in your knees. So, and use the momentum from your legs to put it over your head. Right? So it's obviously really light for me. So it's something I'd probably do for a lot of reps to work on my cardio or conditioning, maybe even a circuit, or for time. How quick can I do this? I'm gonna move on to the next size one. And this one is a little bit still. I'm trying not to get away with straight up putting it all the way to my chest. I'm still gonna do from the front. It's gonna be a very similar lift. Okay, like I said, straight arms. Pick it up in your legs, arms around, and clean it. And then you can press it as well if you'd like. Okay? Or you can can push press it. Okay, so I do recommend also making sure you have lots of space around you. You want to make sure if you need to drop it, you're not going to hit it. Okay, so just be very careful with that. And this last one, this one's going to be a little heavier. I'm not sure I can really actually push press this. I haven't practiced. But so this was a little bit of an odd shape, so I also have to kind of practice where I'm going to put it. All right, so kind of getting this, okay, and often I kind of take a big breath on these ones, push my belly out, and hold the breath. It's called the Valsalva maneuver. Don't start out with it until you have it down. It's a more advanced breathing technique competitive lifters often use. So be really careful using it at first, and do your research on it. Do your research, okay, before you start using it to help you lift. Okay, and you can just shoulder it. Another option is just carry it. So this one has a good groove for on the bottom, but some of them you're going to want to do around like that rather. So you can also carry your stones if you would like. It's kind of all up to you. Alternatively, you can also get smaller ones, like this one right here, just a really small one. However is appropriate for your weight, and press it overhead. To make sure there's actually some level of challenge to it. Otherwise, it's really not going to do much for you. You can also use it as a curl. Lunging, I actually do a lunge with this one right here. Let me demonstrate. Here. Okay. So, lunge with it. You don't want your knee to touch the ground too much. You want it just right there, but don't put it on the ground and let it sit. You also want your knee not to go past your toe generally. Okay? So just kind of go to the depth you can. Over time, your flexibility gets better, and you can end up doing more and more depth to that. I can also do what are called goblet squats. So you might see back squats at the gym with barbells placed on the back. Well, goblet squats in the front. Usually a kettlebell or dumbbell, but in this case a rock works just fine for our purposes. So let me roll this one out of the way. Okay. So okay. And then from the front. Okay. From the side. And one thing you might notice is I am letting my knees go past my shins. It's actually okay to do that. Everybody has slightly different leverages. One thing with the squat is everybody tends to say a lot of times you see toes facing forward. Well, that's not always accurate. A lot of what's going to determine your stance is going to be your femur and your pelvic bones right here and how they work together. So for me, I'm not good with a wide stance. Kind of feels super uncomfortable, but I go slightly wider than shoulder, and that's a perfect width for me. Some people give me super narrow, okay, like this. I can still do that, but it's not comfortable. And one thing I really struggle with is actually that straightforward with your feet stance, right? Really hard for me. So kind of play around with it. I will also say when you're doing in the front loading, you don't want to sit as far back. You really want to sit between your legs. Okay, so you want more between. Pretend you have the ring. Now if I sit back, kind of notice how it's not straight anymore. You don't want that when you're lifting weights. So this is my little tutorial. Please video yourself and adjust accordingly. I video myself all the time to fix my lifts so that I can have the best technique possible for when I lift, and that's going to help me become stronger and to avoid more injuries. So I hope this helps. I'm also going to provide a couple of ideas for workouts you can do with any one of these rocks. Just be really careful when you start. Get the technique first, and then you can add weight and intensity. All right, thanks. Bye.